Hello, my lovely anatomist. Michelle Glass here, and welcome to our series of videos on digestive system. So let us begin by looking at where digestion starts, which is of course the oral cavity. So taking a look at this model here, if we look at this side, we can see the superior labum and the inferior labum, what we commonly call the upper lip and the lower lip. Taking a look at this view here, you can see there is a space in between the lip and the teeth, and that space is called the vestibule. We can see, of course, the tongue. We can see the hard palate and the soft palate. And extending down here, of course, we have the uvula. We're seeing here the oropharynx, which leads to the laryngopharynx, which leads to the esophagus, which is the tube that takes your food and liquid down into your stomach. Let's continue looking at the oral cavity by taking a closer look at our teeth. So teeth, remember, are not bone. They're made of different material. And so what we see is they have this kind of middle layer of tissue here is called the dentin. And the dentin is similar to bone. It's a mineral composite material, but there are no living cells here. And we see that the dentin is protected here by the enamel. And then here we get a layer called the cement down here. If we look at the region of the tooth, we would see this portion that's outside of the gum is called the crown. This area here would be called the neck, and then this portion would be called the root. So we see that the enamel covers the dentin portion of the crown, and then the cement covers the neck and root of the tooth. In the center of the tooth, we have the pulp cavity, and that's going to have the blood vessels and the nerves. And we see that the blood vessels are penetrating the root canal. And here we would have what's called, this opening is called the apical foramen. Anchoring the tooth into this bone here, which is either the mandible or the maxillae, we have here the periodontal ligament. And then at the top, this real beautiful pink tissue here is called the gingiva, which is the singular version of the word. If you're talking about upper and lower, you would call them gingivae. Notice the bone, either the mandible or the maxilla, has this extension of bone that is referred to, remember, from Anatomy and Physiology 1 as the alveolar process. In addition to naming the different parts of the tooth itself, we can name the different types of teeth that we have. So we will have 4 incisors on the upper jaw and 4 incisors on the lower jaw. So you have the 2 that are central, and then you have lateral incisors on either side of that. Then we have the more pointed tooth, which can be referred to either as the canine or the cuspid. So we would see that beside those lateral incisors on both the upper and the lower jaw. And then from the cuspid or canine, we're going to have 2 that are described as the premolars or the bicuspid, and then in your mouth you might have either 2 or 3 molars. And some of us have wisdom teeth, which would be that 3rd molar, and some of us have had those removed. Okay, so we have 2 incisors, cuspid, 2 bicuspid or premolars, and 3 molars, and that would be, you know, on one side of one jaw. Okay, that's all we can see in the oral cavity on the model, so stay tuned for our next video looking at an overview of the digestive system. And as always, take care of yourselves and each other.